Ladies and gentlemen, what is up, and welcome to today's video where we're going to be talking about the Suicide Masteries in Marvel Contest of Champions and how good they are at endgame. Should you buy them? What are their uses? And to give you guys a bit of a perspective on them if you're kind of newer to the game or thinking about getting the Suicide Masteries, because I do have a lot of questions on Twitter, Facebook, seeing how you find in the Suicide Masteries. So I wanted to give you guys an overall broad view of their advantages and disadvantages. Now, for those of you unaware, let's start from the basics. What are the Suicide Masteries? So in the offensive tree, they're basically the three nodes in the top right-hand corner. You have recoil, you have liquid courage, and you have double edge. Now, all of these points and nodes will leak health in different ways. So, liquid courage applies a poison to your champions. Double edge applies a bleed. That's only just for the start of the fight. And recoil will cause you to take a certain amount of damage every time you use a special attack. So that's why they're called the Suicide Masteries. As when you're, fighting with these, you're going to be taking a lot of damage, but in return, you are going to be dealing a lot more damage. Both liquid courage and double edge at 3 out of 3 give you 30% attack, so we're looking at 60% additional attack. Also, one of the bonuses with the Suicide Masteries is they greatly inflate the PI of your champions because you're getting so much more attack. The PI of your champions goes up quite a lot, and the only real use that has is in Arena, and that's pretty much the biggest use, and one of the only two uses I see for the Suicide Masteries is Arena grinding. Like, the advantages of having these Masteries for grinding Arena is amazing, because your fights are going to be so much faster if you can play really decently in Arena. They're just going to go so much faster, and you're going to be getting more points on every match. So that's mainly one of the main reasons that I went for the Suicide Masteries, is I needed to grind 3 champions in Arena back to back. I needed to grind Nightcrawler, and then Colossus, and then also Beast, which we're going to be doing in the second round. So I thought, you know what, I really do want to speed up the grind. They're going to be quite like 6 million plus cutoffs for like Beast and Nightcrawler, I assume. So, I need to do a lot of grinding. I want to speed this up because I got other stuff to do in my day. So, yeah, and they've been phenomenal for that. They've been so good. I can clear out my entire roster. How many teams do I have? I have a lot of teams. I've got about 20-something teams in my roster in under an hour. Like, all of the fights are so ridiculously quick. If I just sit down and farm, I can get them all done in about 50 minutes. And that is ridiculous. That's about 650,000 points. So that's really good. They're really efficient for that. However, in terms of the end game, when we're talking about other stuff, like questing in general, for most of the easy stuff, it makes it go a little bit quicker. It's good for that. However, for the difficult stuff, there's a lot of heal block. There are a lot of fights where you might necessarily proc your heal, or you need to bring a healing champion to do the quest fully with the Suicide Masteries on, and that's a little bit annoying. Alliance War, you are completely gimped. You are so gimped in terms of your attack and defense, especially if you're kind of playing in tiers 1 and 2. There are so many heal block nodes, and also with a lot of the champions you're playing in Alliance War, like, Black Widow, Star-Lord, Captain America, they have no immunity or no way to kind of recuperate the Suicide Mastery, so a lot of the time you're just going to be taking so much damage. They are terrible. They're just so incredibly bad for that. So yeah, really not enjoying them in Alliance War at all. I feel like it's put me at a really huge disadvantage. So as soon as the Beast Arena ends, like, I'm going to ditch them straight away until, another Arena grind comes around, or until I want to do a Legends run. That's the second disadvantage, as well as Alliance Quest. Usually, I'm pretty good in Alliance Quest. I'm really good at fighting the bosses. On map 5, we have double Cyclops and then Kang, and on really good days without the Suicide Masteries, I can kill all of those bosses by myself. However, they all have heal block on, so if I've got the Suicide Masteries, my 4 is going to die after like 1 Cyclops. Like, he's pretty much wrecked after that. So yeah, they're just going to take so much damage on any heal block nodes. And again, when you're in that end game, there's heal block everywhere, guys, on all of the bosses, in Alliance War everywhere. So it really does suck for both Alliance Quest and Alliance War, which at the moment are kind of like a huge focus of my game in terms of my Alliance and progressing onward with that. So yeah, that's a reason that I do need to drop them. Also, in terms of your Alliance War defense, you are much easier to fight when you have recoil, so it's kind of weakened my already pretty weak defense. So that's not great at all. Oh, I've done quite a bit of jabbering about their various pros and cons in the game, but just to put it very simply, the advantages are faster arena grinding. You're going to get more points. If you want to go for a Legends badge or a Legends run, you probably want to use full Suicides with a full Scarlet Witch crit team. That seems like probably the best option and most efficient option for getting the content clear in a ridiculously quick amount of time. But aside from that, I don't really see too many other benefits or uses for the Suicide Masteries. In terms of the disadvantages, again, anything with heal block, Alliance Quest, Alliance War, you are going to be gimped. You can't do those really, really long fights because you're just going to be leaking a huge amount of health. Willpower and some of the other masteries, you can see my defensive ones, do help cover it to a certain extent. I could probably get Coagulate as well to reduce a little bit of bleed damage in the beginning, but again, that isn't like a huge problem for me because the bleed only lasts, the bleed from, what is it, Double Edge only lasts for the first like 16 seconds of the fight, so it's really the poison that you need to negate if you want to do those long fights. But again, overall, I just feel like the Suicide Masteries do put you at a serious disadvantage when it comes to a lot of the competitive stuff in Alliance Quest and Alliance War, and I feel like a lot of people at endgame feel the same way. But in terms of arena grinding, and if you want to go for a Legends run, they're definitely worth unlocking for that, and definitely something to kind of strive towards toward the end game. Once you've brought all the masteries that you want, these are probably ones that you also want to go for, so that, you know, when champions are coming up in arena that you want, that you have the option to switch to this setup that's much more efficient to actually farm the champions and get them in the quickest amount of time possible, and also get the highest score. You know, if you want to go for those like top 400 champions, you definitely want to be running a Suicide Mastery setup because it's just going to be so much more efficient. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for my thoughts on the Suicide Masteries. Hope this video helped you or gave you some sort of insight into, you know, exactly how good they are. If you enjoyed this video, guys, feel free to leave a like on it. That would be greatly appreciated. Apart from that, take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.